The battlefield was silent yet heavy with smoke, broken metal, and the shadows of war. The war had ended only hours ago, but the scars of destruction were everywhere. Craters stretched across the land, machines were scattered like bones, and the smell of fire still hung in the air. No one expected life to remain in that place. It was a graveyard, a forgotten corner of a larger conflict that shook the galaxy. And yet in the middle of that silence, there was movement. A small human child, no more than 8 years old, stumbled across the ruins. Their clothes were torn, their hands covered in dust, their eyes wide with fear but still burning with life. Every step was heavy, every breath a struggle, but the child refused to fall. From orbit, distant watchers saw this. Alien fleets who had taken no side in the human wars monitored the ground with cold, scanning eyes. Their role was simple: to observe, to record, to never interfere. That was the law of the Galactic Council. Neutrality. No species was allowed to protect or assist one side in a war. It was balance, fragile, strict, and enforced for centuries. But then something happened that shocked everyone. As the child moved across the battlefield, a group of alien soldiers descended. They were tall, armored in silver skin, their eyes glowing with strange light. These were the Ithari, a species known across the galaxy for their logic, their cold hearts, and their perfect obedience to rules. They had never before broken the law of neutrality. Not once, and yet when they saw the child, they did not leave. They did not turn away. Instead, one of them raised a hand, and with a flicker of technology, a shield of light appeared around the small human. The battlefield's falling debris could no longer touch the child. A protective dome shimmered, wrapping the human in safety. The watchers in orbit gasped. Their communication lines erupted with shock. Did you see that? The Ithari raised their shields. They protected the human. It was impossible. The Ithari were feared because they were loyal only to the Council, never to a single life. And now, for the first time in history, they had chosen to save one fragile child. The child did not understand what had happened. They only saw the strange light around them, warm and strong like a barrier between them and the world. They touched it with small fingers, and the shield responded with a gentle hum. Their fear lessened, though their hearts still raced. The Ithari soldiers looked at one another. None spoke, for their language was not sound but thought shared in silence. And in that silence, one message passed between them. This one must not fall. The act was small, but in the galaxy, it was like fire. Word spread within hours. Fleets whispered. Traders carried the story. Diplomats sent urgent signals. By the next day, every major world knew the truth. The Ithari had broken neutrality for a human child. Questions exploded across councils and governments. Why this child? Why now? What did they see that no one else could? On Earth, leaders watched the footage with narrowed eyes. The child was one of their own, lost in war, and yet it was not Earth's armies that saved them. It was aliens. The same aliens who had always called humans reckless, chaotic, and dangerous. But if aliens could see value in one human child, what did that mean for all of humanity? The galaxy was confused, divided. Some races mocked the Ithari, calling them weak for protecting a human. Others whispered that maybe humans carried something special, something unseen. And in the middle of it all, the child remained silent, unaware of the storm their survival had created. The battlefield grew quiet again. But the galaxy was no longer the same. The law of neutrality had been broken, and once broken, it could never be repaired. From this single act, one shield raised, one child saved, an entire chain of events began, one that would decide the future of every world. But no one, not even the Ithari, could have predicted what would come next. The galaxy did not stay silent for long. When the news spread that the Ithari had shielded a single human child, the stars seemed to burn brighter with gossip and anger. Every ship's radio carried the story. Every council chamber echoed with the same question: why did they do it? The answer would not be left to whispers. The Galactic Council summoned the Ithari. A trial would be held not in shadows but in the grand courtroom of the galaxy. The galactic courtroom was not a building of stone or glass. It was a massive station orbiting a neutral star, a structure older than many civilizations. Its halls stretched wider than cities, filled with chambers that could hold thousands of voices. At its center was the Hall of Judgment, a vast room shaped like a circle with tiered platforms rising high into the sky. Here the most powerful species gathered, each seat glowing with the colors of its people, and on that day the room was full. Hundreds of species attended, their forms strange and varied, some tall and sharp, some round and soft, some little more than shadows of light. But all shared one expression, curiosity mixed with disbelief. The Athari walked into the center of the circle. Their silver armor reflected the glow of the council lights. Behind them, holograms played the image that had shaken the galaxy. A human child walking alone, and the moment when the Athari raised their shield. The proof could not be denied. A booming voice filled the chamber. The speaker of the council, an ancient creature whose face was hidden behind layers of shifting mist, declared, "Athari, you stand accused of breaking neutrality. The law has been clear for 10,000 cycles. No species may choose sides in war, yet you protected a human child. Why?" The room waited. Silence fell heavy as if the air itself held its breath. One Athari stepped forward. Their voice was deep, echoing not just in the room but in the minds of those present. "This child is different. We could not leave them. To abandon them would have been wrong." The word struck the chamber like lightning. The Athari were known for logic, not emotion. They had no history of mercy. And yet here they were, speaking of right and wrong. Laughter broke out from one corner of the council. A tall insect-like species clicked their mandibles. "Wrong Athari speak of feelings now? Have humans poisoned even your logic?" Others joined the mockery. But not all. Some leaned forward, eyes narrowing, wondering what secret the Athari had seen in the child. The speaker's mist shifted, glowing with anger. "You claim the child is different. Explain. Different how?" The Athari gave no answer. Their silence was more powerful than any words. They did not say how the child was different. They simply repeated, "This one must not fall." Gasps filled the hall. Some species whispered that the Athari were hiding a discovery. Others believed it was weakness. But one thing was certain, the balance of the galaxy was shaking. On Earth, the trial was watched by billions. Every human government had representatives tuned into the broadcast. When they heard the Athari's words, a fire lit inside them. If even the cold, logical Athari saw value in one child, then humanity had a chance to demand something greater. That night, in secret meetings across Earth's capitals, leaders made a bold plan. They would not let this event pass as a small trial. They would turn it into a declaration, but inside the galactic courtroom the trial continued. Punishment was demanded. "The Athari have broken the law," shouted one reptilian ambassador. "They must pay fines. Their fleets must be restricted." "No," hissed another. "They must be expelled from the council entirely." The speaker of the council asked again, "Athari, will you deny your actions?" The Athari's glowing eyes did not waver. "No, we protected the child, and we will not apologize." The chamber erupted in chaos. Shouts echoed across the platforms. Some called for war, others for justice, others simply demanded the child. The image of the child replaying again and again filled every mind. Their small body, their fragile hands, their wide human eyes. Such weakness and yet such strength, for they had survived where armies had fallen. The Athari's refusal to bend created a storm that no one could control. The council declared they would decide punishment in one cycle, but by then the galaxy had already changed. Outside the courtroom, fleets moved. Messages crossed star systems, and on Earth, a single decision was made that would shake the galaxy even more than the Athari's shield. Earth would not stay quiet. Earth would not let this trial decide the fate of their kind. They would act, and what they did next would shock the entire universe. The trial of the Athari shook the galaxy, but it was Earth's answer that turned whispers into thunder. While alien councils debated punishment, Earth's leaders gathered in secret halls. The images of the child, alone on the battlefield, saved by alien hands, replayed on every screen. For humanity, it was not just a story of survival, it was proof. Proof that even the coldest species in the galaxy had seen something worth saving in a human. The council halls of Earth were filled with arguments. Generals demanded silence, fearing that bold words would spark war. Politicians warned of punishment if Earth challenged the Galactic Council. But others, presidents, commanders, and thinkers, saw something greater. "If we do nothing," one leader said, slamming a fist on the table, then humanity remains weak in their eyes. But if we act, if we claim this moment, the galaxy will never forget us. The decision was made not with fear, but with fire. Humanity would not wait for judgment. Humanity would strike first, not with weapons, but with words that would echo across the stars. The next day, the Galactic Council gathered again. Thousands of voices prepared to announce punishment for the Athari. The room burned with tension. Then, unexpectedly, the chamber lights shifted. A new signal interrupted the Council's broadcast. The humans were speaking. The screen flickered and the image of Earth's ambassador appeared. A single human, standing tall in a dark uniform, eyes hard as steel. The entire galaxy listened. "We have heard the accusations," the ambassador said. "We have seen the footage. The Athari broke neutrality to protect one of our children. Many of you call it weakness. We call it truth. The truth that one human life carries meaning. The truth that humanity cannot be ignored." Gasps echoed across the chamber. Some ambassadors laughed in disbelief. Others leaned forward, sensing something powerful was about to be said. The human continued. "You speak of punishment for the Athari. You speak of laws. But hear us clearly. Earth will not allow harm to fall upon them. From this day forward, the Athari are under humanity's protection. Any strike against them will be seen as a strike against us." The chamber erupted. Shouts filled the air. Some called it madness. Others called it arrogance. Humanity was young, only recently joining the galactic stage. To declare protection over another species was unthinkable. Protection was something ancient empires offered, not fragile newcomers. And yet the human ambassador was not finished. You ask why the Athari raised their shields for one child. We ask why not. Every child is worth saving. Every life is worth defending. If even one small human is worth the shield of an alien, then all who protect innocence are worth the shield of humanity. The words spread like fire through the galaxy. On distant ships, soldiers paused to listen. On trade worlds, merchants repeated the speech in crowded streets. And on Earth, billions stood in silence, their hearts swelling with pride. The Athari themselves remained silent in the council chamber. But for the first time in their history, their glowing eyes seemed softer, almost alive. They did not speak gratitude, but the weight of their silence said enough. Not all were pleased. Across the chamber, alien voices rose in anger. A scaled ambassador hissed, "Humans dare to protect the Athari? You cannot even protect your own colonies." Another, sharp and winged, shouted, "This is a declaration of war. You would make enemies of half the galaxy." But the humans did not retreat. Their ambassador's voice cut through the noise. "Then let it be war of words, war of pride, war of spirit. We will not bow. Humanity protects those who show mercy, and we will fight for that with every breath." The speaker of the council, wrapped in mist, thundered in rage. "You break the balance. You declare yourself greater than law." The human's reply was calm but strong. Balance means nothing if it cannot protect the innocent, and so the declaration was complete. The Athari were now bound to humanity, not by treaty, not by trade, but by something far deeper. Loyalty earned through a single act of compassion. The galaxy trembled. Old alliances shifted. Ancient powers began to whisper of crushing Earth before it grew too bold. Others quietly began to admire humanity's fire. On Earth, the child who had been saved did not yet know the storm they had created. They only sat in safety, still recovering, unaware that their survival had sparked humanity's greatest gamble. But far away, fleets were already moving. Empires plotted in silence. Some saw Earth as reckless. Others saw it as dangerous. But all now saw it as something impossible to ignore. From the smallest child to the mightiest council, the message was clear. Humanity had spoken. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy did not stay quiet after Earth's bold declaration. What was meant to be a simple trial had become a storm. The moment Earth promised to shield the Athari, a line was drawn across the stars. On one side stood humanity and its new allies. On the other, the ancient powers of the galaxy, proud, old, and unwilling to accept change. Across alien councils, the same words were spoken. Humans are reckless. Humans are dangerous. If they rise now, they will not stop. And so, fleets began to move. In the shadows of space, the first threats appeared. A convoy of Athari ships was surrounded near a trade route. Alien destroyers demanded they surrender, claiming the Council's law still stood. But before the destroyers could fire, human warships arrived. The standoff lasted hours. Lasers armed. Engines burned. No one fired the first shot, but the message was clear. The galaxy was on the edge of war. On Earth, leaders argued again. Some begged for peace, warning that humanity was too young to fight galactic empires. Others spoke with fire in their eyes. We did not come this far to bow. The galaxy must learn that humanity stands by its word. And while leaders fought with speeches, soldiers prepared in silence. The Navy trained harder. Colonies built defenses. Factories poured out ships faster than ever before. Humanity had declared protection, and now it had to prove it. But the galaxy was not only watching fleets. They were watching the child. The small survivor, now resting under Ithari shields, became a symbol far greater than they understood. To many, the child was hope, proof that compassion still mattered. To others, the child was a threat, a spark that could ignite rebellion across the stars. And so, whispers spread. Assassins were sent. Hunters moved in the dark. Strange ships were seen near human space, scanning, searching. Everyone wanted the child not to kill but to capture. Because they believed this child held something more. The Ithari sensed it. That was why they had broken neutrality. They knew the child carried a secret that could not be lost. But they would not say what. Not yet. Tension rose each day. Small battles began along borders. A mining colony was raided. A human patrol vanished. An Ithari station was attacked by unknown forces, its survivors rescued only because human ships arrived in time. Each incident added fuel to the fire. Humanity grew angry. The galaxy grew nervous. And the child's image appeared on every screen. Their face innocent, their story tragic, their survival a mystery that no one could ignore. Inside the Galactic Council, debates turned violent. Some demanded Earth be punished for arrogance. Others feared punishing Earth would spark rebellion from smaller worlds tired of old laws. The council chamber, once a place of order, now shook with shouting, and in the silence of their seats, the Ithari spoke only once. The child must be protected. If the galaxy chooses war, then war will come. Their words chilled the chamber, for the Ithari had never spoken of war before. Meanwhile, on Earth, ordinary people felt pride like never before. Streets filled with marches. Voices shouted, "We stand with the Ithari." Children carried drawings of the survivor, calling them a hero. For the first time in history, humanity was united, not against Earth's own enemies, but for something greater, protecting those who had shown mercy. But in the shadows, enemies plotted. Secret fleets gathered in hidden space. Old empires forged new alliances. And one phrase was whispered again and again: "Destroy the child, and humanity will fall with them." The child, still too young to understand, played quietly inside the shield. They laughed with Ithari guardians. They asked questions about the stars. They did not know assassins searched for them. They did not know humanity was preparing for war because of them. And yet, whenever the child spoke, strange things happened. Machines hummed louder. Lights flickered. The Ithari noticed. Humanity's scientists noticed too. Something within this child was not ordinary. The Ithari commander told Earth's leaders in private, "This child carries a signal we do not understand. It is human, but more. When the child grows, the galaxy will change." The rising conflict was no longer about laws. It was no longer about neutrality. It was about the future itself. Would humanity fall under the weight of ancient powers? Or would this one small child change everything? Ships moved. Councils fought. Assassins hunted. And the galaxy held its breath. Because the war that was coming would not be about territory or trade. It would be about survival. And humanity had already chosen its side. The galaxy thought it was fighting over laws, fleets, and pride. But the truth was far stranger. The real battle was not about neutrality or power. It was about a single human child. For weeks, the child lived under the shield of the Ithari, watched by both alien guardians and human scientists. At first, it seemed simple. A child had survived where armies had fallen, a miracle, but nothing more. Yet soon strange signs began to appear. Machines behaved differently around the child. Lights flickered when the child laughed. Consoles sparked when they cried. When the child touched an alien device, the machine responded as if it had been designed for them. The Ithari, cold and logical as always, studied quietly. They measured the child's heartbeats. They recorded their dreams. They whispered to themselves, "This is what we sensed. This is why we raised the shield." The humans noticed it too. Scientists on Earth replayed the data again and again. Brain scans revealed patterns never seen before. The child's mind glowed with energy that reached beyond normal human limits. Something was inside them. Not a weapon, not an implant, but something natural, something born within. Rumors spread fast. Some whispered the child was the next step of human evolution. Others believed the child carried alien code inside their DNA, and darker voices claimed the child was not human at all, but a hybrid experiment left behind by an unknown race. The truth remained hidden. But one fact was clear: the child was different, and difference in the galaxy was dangerous. Enemies began to hunt harder. Fleets searched for the child's location. Assassins crept closer. On one moon, an infiltrator tried to breach the Athari shield. They failed. The shield burned them into ash. But the attempt sent a message. The galaxy would never stop chasing the secret. Inside the Galactic Council, the debate turned desperate. "If the child has power," hissed one reptilian voice, "then it must belong to all species." Another ambassador shouted, "No, destroy the child before the secret spreads." But the Athari stood firm. "This one must not fall," they repeated, their glowing eyes unblinking. Meanwhile, the child themselves lived in innocence. They did not understand why so many watched them. They asked simple questions. Why do the stars sing at night? Why do the lights follow me? Why do people look at me like I am not a child? The Athari gave no answers, but in private one guardian whispered to a human ambassador, "When the child speaks, we feel not sound but connection. Their voice moves through us as if they touch our minds. This is no ordinary gift. This is something greater." And the humans began to fear and hope at the same time. If the child truly carried this gift, then humanity might rise beyond its limits. But if the secret spread too soon, it could bring the galaxy into total war. One night, while the child slept, the Athari recorded something extraordinary. The child dreamed. In their dream, signals spread out like waves, invisible but powerful. Machines nearby turned on without command. Doors opened. A broken console lit up for the first time in years. The child's dream had reached into the material world. When the humans saw the recording, silence filled the room. Finally, one whispered, "This is not evolution. This is something new. Something the galaxy has never seen." The question grew louder. What should be done? Some humans demanded to hide the child forever, to protect them until they were grown. Others argued to reveal the truth and use it as a weapon, to prove humanity's power. The Athari only shook their heads. "You do not understand. The gift cannot be controlled. It must be guided, not used." But guiding the child meant time, and time was the one thing humanity did not have. The galaxy was moving closer to war. Fleets massed on borders. Saboteurs struck human colonies. And every attack was aimed at one goal: find the child, claim the secret. The child's face appeared on every screen in the galaxy. Not because humanity wanted it, but because enemies spread their image to make them a target. To some, the child was a savior. To others, a monster. To all, a mystery. And mysteries could not survive long in a galaxy hungry for power. Then came the most frightening discovery. The child began to hear the galaxy. Not just machines, not just lights, but voices. They whispered things they should not know. Distant thoughts. Alien fears. Secrets never spoken aloud. The gift was growing, faster than anyone expected. One day the child looked up at their guardians and said in a calm and quiet voice, "They are coming. Many ships. They want to take me, but you cannot let them, because if they take me, everything ends." The Athari froze. The humans froze. The words were not a warning from a child. They were a prophecy. The galaxy now understood that this was no ordinary survivor. The child was the center of something far greater. The Athari had seen it first. Humanity now saw it too, and their enemies would stop at nothing to claim it. The secret was out. And war was no longer a question of if, it was a question of when. The secret of the child could not be hidden forever. Whispers had turned into demands. Demands had turned into threats. And threats finally became war. The galaxy was no longer debating laws in quiet chambers. It was burning. The first strike came without warning. A fleet of warships appeared on the edge of Athari space. Their message was clear: surrender the child or be destroyed. The Athari answered with silence. Their shields rose and their fleets moved into formation. Then, before the invaders could fire, human warships arrived. Massive carriers, sleek destroyers, and fast fighters filled the void, engines blazing like suns. For the first time in history, human ships and Athari ships stood side by side. The enemy fired first. Beams of light cut across space, missiles streaked, and the stars themselves seemed to tremble. The war had begun. Across the galaxy, battle followed battle. Skirmishes on trade routes, sieges of colonies, ambushes in asteroid fields. Humanity was tested like never before. But humans fought with a fire no one expected. On one front, a small human fleet faced double its number. Outnumbered, outgunned, yet they won, using tricks, traps, and pure defiance. In the silence after the battle, alien survivors whispered in fear. The humans should have fallen, but they did not. The Athari fought differently. Their shields covered allies, their precision strikes shattered enemy formations. Cold, disciplined, perfect, but when combined with humanity's wild, unpredictable tactics, they became unstoppable. For the first time, the galaxy saw a new kind of alliance, one born not of treaties but of loyalty. Yet no matter the victories, the child remained the true target. Every enemy fleet tried to capture, not kill. Every attack was designed to pull Guardians away from the one secret they all desired. The child was moved constantly, hidden in fortresses, shielded by fleets, surrounded by layers of defenses. And still the enemy came. One night, assassins breached a human station. Silent shadows slipped through halls, cutting down guards. They reached the chamber where the child slept. But when they raised their blades, something happened. The lights burst. The walls shook. The assassins froze, clutching their heads, screaming. The child's eyes opened, glowing faintly, and their voice filled the air. Leave. And the assassins fled, broken and terrified. The galaxy began to fear not only humanity's fire, but the child's growing power. Some races demanded peace talks, afraid the war would spread to every corner of the stars. Others doubled their efforts, desperate to capture the gift before it grew beyond control. Earth, meanwhile, hardened its stance. We will not surrender, its leaders declared. Not the child, not the Athari, not our future. And so the war raged on. The child's name became legend across star systems. On human worlds, people painted their face on walls, calling them the Shielded One. On alien worlds, mothers whispered warnings to children. Sleep, or the human child will see you in your dreams. Every story, whether spoken in fear or in hope, gave the child more power. They were no longer only a survivor. They were a symbol. A living spark. The battles grew larger. Entire sectors became war zones. Hundreds of ships clashed in orbits, their wreckage burning like falling stars. Planets shook with bombardments. Asteroid belts shattered under fire. And in the middle of this chaos, the alliance of humans and Athari stood unbroken. Time and again, enemies expected them to fall. Time and again, they survived. One alien commander, furious after defeat, screamed to their council, "They are not fighting with weapons. They are fighting with something else. Something we cannot crush, but the cost of survival was heavy. Colonies burned. Ships were lost. Brave crews never returned. Humanity paid with blood, and so did the Athari. And always the question remained, how long could they hold? The child grew quieter as the war went on. No longer innocent, they watched battles from behind the shield, their eyes deep with something older than their years. And one day they whispered to their guardian, "This war is not about me. It is about all of them." "But they do not see it yet," the guardian asked. "What do you mean?" The child only answered, "They will know, when the end comes." The war reached its height when 3 great fleets united against Earth and the Athari. Thousands of ships filled the void, their weapons enough to burn a star. Humanity and the Athari gathered everything they had. It was not enough. The enemy advanced, unstoppable. Human leaders prepared for their last stand. And yet, in that darkest hour, the child rose. They stepped forward, eyes glowing brighter than ever before, and whispered words that no one understood. Machines across the battlefield shuddered. Enemy weapons failed. Communications collapsed. And for one long, impossible moment, every mind across the fleets felt a connection. Human, Athari, even their enemies. A single thought passed through them all. You are not enemies. You are one, the fleets faltered. The war paused. Silence fell across the stars. But silence never lasts. The child's power had been revealed, and with it a question no one could escape. Was this the beginning of peace, or the spark of something far greater? The war had reached a breaking point. Fleets hung shattered in space. Colonies lay in ruins. Entire sectors of stars had burned because of one secret: the human child. And now the secret was no longer hidden. The galaxy had seen it. Every commander, every soldier, every ambassador had felt it. The moment when the child's voice touched their minds and bound them together. For one heartbeat, enemies had stood still, connected not by fear but by something they could not explain. Some called it a miracle, others called it a weapon. But everyone knew one truth: this child was not ordinary. On Earth, leaders demanded answers. What is the source of this power? Is it human? Is it alien? Is it something new? The Athari, calm and silent as always, finally spoke. You still do not see. The gift was never in the stars or in our machines. It was always in you. In humanity. We only saw it first, the humans argued. They had always believed themselves strong through will, through defiance, through survival. But this gift was different. It was not strength of muscle or strength of fire. It was strength of connection. A strength that reached across barriers, across species, across fear. The child was proof. The galaxy gathered once more in the great council chamber. But this time the trial was not of the Athari. It was not of Earth, it was of the child. The hall was silent when the small figure walked into the circle. No armor, no crown, just a child, eyes wide, hands small, steps uncertain. Yet every gaze in the room followed them. Entire empires, ancient and proud, stared at this single human life. The speaker of the council spoke in a thunderous voice. Human child, you are the reason for war. You are the reason for fire across the stars. Tell us why. Tell us what you are. The child lifted their head. Their voice was soft, but it carried through the hall like a wave. I am nothing special. I am only what I was born to be. But I can hear you. I can feel you. And I can show you what you refuse to see. They closed their eyes, the chamber trembled. A light spread, not from machines, but from minds. Every ambassador felt it, a connection deeper than words. They saw each other's thoughts, their fears, their hopes. They saw the faces of their people, the cries of their soldiers, the tears of their children. For the first time in history, the galaxy understood itself. Not as separate races, not as enemies, but as one. Gasps filled the room. Some cried, some shouted in denial, but none could escape what they had felt. The child opened their eyes again. You fight because you are afraid. You fear what you do not know. But fear does not have to rule you. You can choose something else. The Athari bowed their heads. Humanity stood taller, and the galaxy was left trembling, not from war but from revelation. But revelation is dangerous. Some ambassadors fell to their knees, calling the child a savior. Others snarled in rage, swearing that no single being should hold such power. Plans for peace were born in that moment. So were plans for destruction. And yet, something had changed forever. The speaker of the council, their mist shifting violently, declared, "This gift is too great for one. It belongs to all. From this day forward, no species may harm the child. From this day forward, humanity stands not alone, but under the watch of the council itself." It was a compromise. Not full acceptance, not full rejection, but enough to end the war, for now. When the child returned to Earth, billions waited. Streets overflowed with voices chanting the shielded one. For the people, the child was no longer just a survivor. They were a sign that humanity was not weak, not small, but destined for something far greater. The child did not understand the cheers. They still asked simple questions. Why do they call me special? Why do they cry when they see me? And humanity had no answer, except to protect them even more fiercely. Far away in dark corners of the galaxy, old empires whispered, "This is only the beginning. They will grow. They will rise. And when they do, we must be ready." The war had ended, but the seeds of the next one had already been planted. Still, in that fragile moment of peace, one truth could not be erased. The galaxy had learned that a single human child, protected by alien hands, had forced every world to see beyond power and pride. That one act of compassion had changed the course of history. And as the stars burned quietly above, The Athari repeated their ancient vow. This one must not fall. But now they spoke not just of one child. They spoke of all of humanity.